You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Glad you could join me here today on part one of our weekend house calls. We're getting into our community's questions that have come in over the past couple of months. We'll be starting off with Jordan today. Came in on April 26th of this year. We run about 10 to 12 weeks or so behind on answering your questions live on the Cabral Concept. But I want to let you know, and I've mentioned this before, but if you're a new listener to the Cabral Concept, that you can get your question answered each and every day at cabralsupportgroup.com. It is a free private Facebook group that we allow positive people to join who want to get out there, support others, share their struggles if they want, get answers to their questions, maybe which lab should I start with, or what do you think I should be doing, this, or this? And so we're happy to be able to be a sounding board for you. We're not diagnosing disease there. We're not treating disease, but we are giving you the opportunity to essentially ask our team of health coaches, that includes myself as well, what do you believe the best starting point would be? So you can check that out when the time is right for you. So many great people, about 6,000 strong from all over the world inside of that group. Check that out. All right. Can't wait to get into this weekend's questions, as always. So let's start off with Jordan. Jordan's asking, hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm a collegiate athlete, and so typically I train for 3 hours a day. 2 hours of sport, 1 hour in the weight room. How can I make sure I'm getting enough calories? I'd even like to build muscle if possible. I know you aren't a fan of eggs and bacon first thing in the morning, but taking a protein shake and a bowl of oatmeal only fills me up for around 2 hours. Should I start taking more protein shakes, although I get gas and bloating with whey? I know there is some healthy plant-based mass gainer shakes that use plant protein, gluten-free oats, and organic maltodextrin. Maybe you should try those. Anyways, I would appreciate any advice. Thanks. All right, Jordan, totally understand where you're coming from. I was in your same exact position, not with a collegiate sport, but with trying to put on muscle. So, here's the thing. We can always gain weight if we know what we're burning per day in terms of our natural metabolism and then our sport. How do you know? Well, if you write down your weekly report of how much you ate, you'll see how much calories you took in on a daily basis and for the week. And if you do that, this is a normal week, well, your weight pretty much stays the same. Now, if you want to gain weight, we don't know if it's just 500 calories more a day. For some people, that's not how it works. It might be more like 1,000 calories more per day. All right, so Jordan, here's the look. It's not always eating like specific meals or things like that. Let's say we want to get you 1,000 calories more per day. This is how I would do it. Still make sure your meals are 3 to 4 hours apart, because I used to make the mistake of eating every 2 hours, and the food simply hadn't moved through my stomach yet, or 2.5 hours. So look more for like the 3 minimum to 4 hour window. Now, if you're up, which I'm sure you are, for 15 hours a day, you can still get in a good 4 meals. And if you do it every 3 hours, you can get in 5 meals. Now, I'm not necessarily recommending that, but the easiest way to get in these calories is going to be through some type of smoothie pre-workout or peri-workout with your sport and after. And your whole food meals built around that, okay? So keep in mind, you can make your own weight gain shakes if you wanted to. You can use your own gluten-free oats, okay? Organic maltodextrin, it's okay. The problem is a lot of times it comes from corn. So at least this isn't GMO corn. That's a good thing. Plant-based shakes, well, honestly, what are we really talking about? We're talking about the daily nutritional support shake powder, but then adding in additional rice protein or pea protein or hemp protein. Or you can even go with chia seed protein, right? There's a bunch out there. So you can definitely experiment with those. Now, That's a great place to start. So you can easily load up on more carbs, which is what you'll need for your sport, and especially if you need weight gain, by adding in another 2 cups of fruit. That's going to get you another 50, 60 grams of carbohydrates, okay? So we've got protein. We can do the DNS plus an extra 15 grams of hemp protein. That's 30 grams right there. We've got 50 grams of carbs. Now let's add in some good fat as well. Okay, what's the good fat going to come from? Well, the good fat can be MCT oil. It can be coconut oil, coconut cream. It could be avocado. It could be olive oil. It could be flax. So there's many ways to get this. Now, you said, are you a fan of bacon and eggs? Well, I'm not a fan of bacon and eggs from the standpoint of long-term health and longevity. But does it transform the body, and will those eggs be pretty bioavailable for your muscles in your body? Yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. You can run a food sensitivity test to see if you have a sensitivity to eggs, and then there you go. I can't give you that as the go-to, but there's really what we're talking about is getting in more calories. So use one of the apps that I've recommended before. Count your calories and macros for the day, and we want to add in a minimum of another 500 calories to start. And again, you can double that shake that I just told you to make for before workout and after workout, and then add 3 additional meals if that's what you're already currently doing. So you're simply adding on, okay? Never subtract. You're not subtracting right now. You're adding on. And if whey protein gives you gas, stay away from the whey protein. All right. Christina's up next. Dr. Stephen Cabral, you were such an inspiration, and I have gained so much knowledge from your book, The Rain Barrel Effect, and from listening to your podcast. I came across a mushroom called lion's mane. It had some supporting research on positive effects with dementia and depressions. My question is, have you ever read or heard about lion's mane, and what are your thoughts on the effects of mushrooms? Thank you for taking the time to answer my question. All right, Christina, I appreciate the kind words. And what I would love for you to do is head on over to StephenCabral.com. Oh, my computer is running slowly because I'm uploading video right now for our integrative health practitioners. Let me check out my phone here. I do have multiple technological devices here. So yes, have I heard of lion's mane? Absolutely. Lion's mane is something that I did its own little post on, its own little podcast on. It's one of the most amazing looking mushrooms out there. Check it out. You can just obviously type in lion's mane at the old Google images and you'll be able to find it. Now, I want to find you the podcast because I've done a podcast on all of these different mushrooms and specifically lion's mane. So let's find it for you. I'm just going to type in mushroom. That's at StephenCabral.com/podcast. Type in the search bar, mushroom, and you will see a bunch of podcasts talking about mushrooms. Where's the one that I want to find for you? Let's see. Episode 396. Discover the benefits of mushrooms. So there you go. And then there's also one on lion's mane. And that one is on episode 357, as well as an additional Friday review. So thank you, Christine, and hopefully that helps. I do like lion's mane, and I am a proponent of it. But again, there's always the question of if it's great for everyone, and typically in the beginning of a candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, we don't use mushrooms. We don't use anything yeast, fungus-based, but that doesn't mean you can't use it in the future. All right, Katie's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I recently became a nurse practitioner and have started with the IFM certification program. Yay! I have a question regarding my own labs. My TSH is 3.1, FT3 is, okay, so she goes through all of her labs for her thyroid. I retested 4 weeks later, and the numbers were pretty much the same. I realized my thyroid is sluggish. However, I have no signs of hypothyroidism, except a little bit of stubborn lower body fat. I'm 30 years old, have no medical history. I'm very active. I eat paleo diet 90% of the time. I'm somewhat knowledgeable that I may feel better with a little thyroid hormone, but I'm not ready to start at this time. My real question is, I don't understand why my anti-TG is so elevated, but TPO is not. I'm working to lower this to the best of my current knowledge. Can you explain why this seems to focus more on TPO and I don't hear as much about anti-TG? Wouldn't both be elevated? Okay, so this is a great question. But before I answer your question, I want you to understand is that I've done at least a half a dozen shows on thyroid that tells everyone out there exactly how to rebalance their thyroid. The only people that I don't believe can rebalance their thyroid are those people that have had a thyroidectomy, a full thyroidectomy, that has removed their thyroid. because we've seen it over and over, even for people that have been on thyroid medication for over 20 years. We've seen them get better. So, the problem is always who are you running your test through and the protocols that they're having you do. Because we know that your thyroid isn't functioning properly either because of stress, HPA axis dysfunction, gut function, leaky gut, lower selenium, lowered selenium, iodine, zinc, B6, lowered vitamin C. We know that it could be low because of mercury or cadmium or fluoride or chlorine or bromine. So we know all of the reasons why. We really do. And maybe there's even more out there that we don't even know, but we know how to correct it. We'll tell you that right now. So, that's my thing, is that it's not people running labs, which I love. I love that. That's what it's all about. Find your data. But if you're not going to the practitioner, then you're not going to be able to help with these things. And there's certainly, something going on within your body. And I can't do a consultation over a podcast. That's not what we do. But what I can tell you is this, is that why the discrepancy between your TPO, and I would like to explain these a little bit to people as well. So when we're talking about the anti-thyroglobulin, that's what you're referring to as anti-TG, we're talking about a specific immune marker, okay? Think of it this way, Katie, I think this will help the most. When someone has an immediate food sensitivity, they're having a reaction with their immunoglobulin E, so IgE reaction. Now, if they're having a latent response, they're having an IgG, immunoglobulin G. They show up differently in blood work. So when you run your anti-thyroglobulin, you're testing for a specific thyroid autoantibody. And when you run your TPO, your thyroid peroxidase antibodies, are going to be specific as well. So think of, they're not latent and non-latent, but think of them as two different types of antibodies. And both don't have to be stimulated by your immune system. One can be, and one may not. So there's certainly, though, a potential towards an autoimmune-based issue. And certainly your thyroid's not functioning optimally because you want to be between 0.5 and 2 for a TSH, 2.5 max. So you're a 3.1. So we know for sure we need to get you well, and we need to do it now before it turns into a bigger issue. All right? Anonymous is up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I've been listening to this podcast for some time now, and I appreciate all the information you share. Thank you. I've been suffering with pain, throbbing pain at the rectum that can last for hours, making it difficult to sit, following bowel movements for approximately 5 years. A bit of background. I had a procedure to correct an anal fissure. At the same time, I've been suffering both physically and mentally, excruciating pain, and it was torturous. I've tried Botox and steroid creams and estrogen creams, hemorrhoid creams, opioids. I'm not sure why consumption of almonds affect me in this way. They don't change my bowel movements, just the pain. I don't suffer constipation and sometimes have loose stool. So it's a longer question. So for everybody who wants to read this in full, head on over to stevencabral.com/1247. Do you have any idea what is wrong with me? What I might be able to try? I've tried candida cleanses, gut protocols, elimination diets. I do FM detoxes regularly. I eat clean diet. Had a stool test that showed strep and low E. coli and diversity of probiotics, and I'm doing protocol to address this now. I'm really at a loss. I'm hopeful that you might be able to suggest something to try. Thank you and kindest regards. So, Anonymous, I'm happy to help. I've come across this now about a half a dozen times, but only half a dozen times in seeing tens of thousands of people. So, here's what I found. One is that I don't know what type of candida cleanse you've been on. But I can tell you this, I just recommend doing things with someone who has done this for many, many years. And if you're working with someone like that, then great. But people tell me all the time, I've done a CBO protocol like yours. It either is or it isn't. And I don't say that to be in a mean way. I really don't. But I don't know, because there's a lot of people out there now, because we show people exactly what we do. There's a lot of people trying to copy it. And it's not the same. Because they're not doing the timing correctly, they're not doing the dosages correctly, they're not using the biofilm correctly, they're adding probiotics right away, they're not using the food list. So I recommend running the organic acids test. You don't have to rerun the stool test if you don't want. And a food sensitivity test. I found it to be two things. One, higher levels of candida, and then eating foods that exacerbate them. The second one is this. I found that a lot of people with this rectal-based pain don't do well with higher levels of oxalates and lectins. They cause an inflammatory process. You named almonds, which have quite a bit of those. So you might be someone that does better on a no nuts, no beans, low to no grain diet. Now, again, do you have to do this forever? Absolutely not. But we need to correct this gut-based issue. What does that mean that you can't eat? Well, you still eat plenty. All of your proteins, careful with the beans that I just mentioned. You eat all your veggies for the most part, and you're going to stick to your root vegetables as your starches. You don't have to do this forever, but I want to give you a place to start. Thank you for writing in, Anonymous. I appreciate you. Susanna's up next. For someone dealing with candida, do you suggest doing a detox first and then the candida protocol, or the other way around? Great question. The detox starts before everything. If you're doing a parasite protocol, candida protocol, heavy metal detox, anything you want, start with the functional medicine detox. And here's why. You are going to be killing off bacteria, yeast, eliminating heavy metals, whatever it might be. A detox is not what we hear about, like, oh, it's a juice cleanse, or it's a detox tea, or it's water fasting, or whatever it might be. Again, I have no problem with those. I don't know what a detox, tea specifically is, but it's not, it's not based in functional medicine. So here's the thing. The reason you do a functional medicine detox is to better support your liver pathways. And it's your liver pathways that help you to better eliminate everything that you are breaking down in the body. So it allows you to have less Herxheimer-based reactions. It makes all the protocols work that much better. So great question, Susanna. Start with the detox first. 7, 14, or 21 day. Okay? If you have more than 10 pounds to lose, I recommend the 21 day. If you have a lot of inflammation, joint pain, etc., start with the 21 day. For everyone else that's pretty healthy, still recommend the 21 day, but you could, if you've never done it before, but you could also do the 7 or 14. Okay. Winter is up next. Hi, I'm 55-year-old female who is wanting to detoxify the metals in my body. I'm showing signs of autoimmune disease, but otherwise healthy. I would like to start with a 7-day detox program. However, I have metal fillings. Could the 7 days still help, or do the fillings nullify the process? Thank you. Winter, great question. And no, you can have metal fillings. There's no problem with that. It does not draw metal out of your teeth. It's not that powerful. People go back and forth. Should you do a sauna if you have metal fillings? My idea is absolutely yes. And that's because those metals are already in your bloodstream. We've already done the scientific research to show in people's sweat after a sauna, you can find metals like mercury. Okay, so Winter, here's what you want to do though. 7-day detox, open up your liver pathways like I just mentioned to Susanna. And then what I would like you to do is then the heavy metal detox protocol, okay? So that's what I want you to do. And yes, you can use the sauna at the same time. And then after you're done, do an intestinal cleanse. The intestinal cleanse will bind up everything that you've been chelating out of the body. It's great to do at either the 3-week mark or the 6-week mark, okay? Great question, Winter. That's what I would do. Detox first, then heavy metal detox. Remove it from the bowels through the intestinal cleanse. Okay, Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm at a loss. After going off birth control that I was on for 10 years due to experiencing anxiety and chin breakouts, my hormonal acne has never been worse. I take milk thistle and B complex, as well as eat very clean, whole food, vegan diet. After doing research, I'm doing everything right, but I'm still experiencing terrible cystic acne. What can I do to help balance my hormones naturally? Thank you. This goes pretty deep, right? Because we look at the hormones for imbalances, but we don't often look at how is our cortisol affecting our hormones. Because if you checked out my previous podcasts, you'd see that, and again, I'm not saying that you haven't, but I want you to go back and check them out, that cortisol typically drops progesterone levels. So the more the body is stressed, estrogen typically stays about the same, but progesterone drops. So we need to fix cortisol if that's an issue, as well as thyroid and DHEA. So again, this is through a thyroid adrenal hormone lab. You need to make sure that vitamin D is optimized for your hormones. You need to make sure that blood sugar is optimized for your hormones. That includes fasted glucose levels, hemoglobin A1C, and insulin. Again, the lab test will show you this, the thyroid adrenal hormone. So that's where I would start. But then you can also look to see if there's any gut dysfunction. Because if your liver, I know that you're doing milk thistle, and I love milk thistle, right? No problem at all with it. The great herb, but it's not the end-all be-all. And that's because milk thistle is not going to provide you with all the sulfur-based amino acids for phase 2 and not all of the antioxidants and minerals that you need for phase 1. So my recommendation is this. I'd run the thyroid adrenal hormone lab. Then I would do the 21-day detox, following the nutrition plan, and really opening up those liver pathways. Maintain with daily foundational protocol level 1 or level 2 or level 3, whatever you'd like. And then find out what the results are from that thyroid adrenal hormone lab. And take it on day 19, 20, or 21 of your cycle. And that will give you the answers that you're looking for. All right? Because I know that you've already done a lot right. So now we need to look deeper. And that's what functional medicine labs are all about. And those labs are over at equilibriumnutrition.com. You don't even need to go to your doctor. You can get them right over there. I read them. I provide my recommendations. You get on the call with one of my health coaches. We take you through the specific protocol. I think it's pretty incredible. We ship those to 19 countries around the world. Again, you never need to go with us. You could work with any of the integrative health practitioners, level 2, and you could work with your functional medicine doctor that knows in depth how to run those specific labs as well. All right, let's get in one more question. Lisa's up next and last for today. Hi, Dr. Cabral and team. I'm really struggling with inflammation. I've done the 21-day detox, CBO, gut rebuilding protocols, and my tongue still has red, painful spots and weird patterns that are white. My organic acids test did show some yeast overgrowth, but for some reason my body is struggling to get rid of it. I got desperate and tried months of a strong anti-pharmaceutical and keto diet. My tongue did not improve. My biomedical doctor thinks I need to give low-dose naltrexone, which is LDN, naltrexone, a try to help decrease inflammation. I've done multiple labs, including the adrenal thyroid, oat, food sensitivity, and also a lab called NutrVal. Shockingly, my labs look good besides a little estrogen dominance. Taking estrogen balance, little yeast overgrowth, aluminum HTMA, and omega-3s. I did notice improvements with taking 200 milligrams of omega-3, 2,000 milligrams of your omega-3, and CBD oil twice a day. So I feel that it is a sign I need to focus on anti-inflammatories. I know you can't give medical advice, and I know you don't do pharmaceuticals, but could you share your opinion on low-dose naltrexone? Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, these are great questions and totally understand where you're coming from. My job is to always figure out why the inflammation. But here's the other thing. You might have the geographic tongue, as we call it, and you might have some white coating on the tongue, not because you have a lot of yeast overgrowth or any particular issues, but because you have very low stomach acid. A lot of people overlook this. If you've never built back up your digestive system, then you allow this fermentation to happen in your gut. You allow for this low acidity in your stomach. And I know we talk about acid alkaline a lot in the media, but your stomach is one of those compartments that's supposed to be acidic. So you might do really well now with some ginger tea or a little bit of Bragg's apple cider vinegar in some water with some lemon in the morning and at night. And this could improve your digestive fire. You may also use an Ayurvedic product called Trikatu, Trikatu. I'm spelling on a podcast, not always the best. Or just even use, because a lot of that is black pepper, to improve your digestive system. Maybe you even use betaine HCl and pepsin. And you're right, I can't give medical advice. Do I have a huge problem with low-dose naltrexone? Well, it depends how the doctor uses it. Usually it's 2.5 to 5 for a dosage at night. And as long as it's not your long-term goal to be on it, you know, it helps with inflammatory process of the body. But I look at it in a little different way. Inflammation is often there to show us we still have some more work to do. So for us, you've done a great job. You're doing great overall. All we really are looking at is some red, painful spots in the tongue. That could be low B12 or B vitamins, low folate, which again, you might have a methylation-based issue. Maybe you should be using 2 capsules of activated B complex a day, along with a daily nutritional support. Maybe it's all you need is some B vitamins and choline and trimethylglycine to support your methylation pathways. And that could be your answer. Could be low stomach acid, could be methylation. Remember, there's always an answer. You've done a fantastic job. The journey's not over. It's just not over yet. That's okay. You have time. You'll be able to figure this out. Thank you, Lisa, and everyone who wrote in today. I appreciate everyone listening and, of course, sharing this podcast with anyone else they believe it could help. And stay tuned tomorrow where we have another part 2 to our Cabral House Calls, answering all of our community's questions from around the world. Enjoy your weekend. Hope you're having an amazing time. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.